Welcome to Podcast with an Accent. I'm your host, David Gillies, and this is a podcast where I sit down and talk to comedians from around the world and learn about the highs, the lows, the journey of being a stand-up comedian. I am a big fan of stand-up comedy. I hope to be a stand-up comedian, not professional. I'm not a dreamer, but I hope to get up on stage sometime in the near future. So for me, this is, I guess this is homework, me learning about comedians, how they go about, the day-to-day life. And just everything that they do to get on the big stage, I guess. My first guest is a gentleman of the name Brian Holtzman. He has been a paid regular at the Comedy Store in Hollywood Boulevard since 1994. He is a big-time player in the comedy scene. He tends to close the Comedy Store, so he tends to go on after 10, after 11, because he's a heavy hitter, and some people can't handle him being on at 9 o'clock because he's a real comedian. He says it how it is, and I do appreciate, his rants and the way he goes on about things. So in this episode, we learned a lot about Brian Holtzman, learn about his highs, his lows, his journey, who got him into it, or who gave him the okay to be in the game of comedy. We have his brother Jay call in, so that's always nice, hearing someone else's sibling talk through his phone through a laptop microphone. It's always interesting. The cleaner pops in to say hi, have a couple of toilet breaks along the way. We learn what Brian Holtzman's favorite books are. But the guy is very, very interesting. He is, he's a one in a million. There's not many people like Brian Holtzman, so I do appreciate his comedy style. So please look him up on Instagram at Brian Holtzman, or look him up on YouTube, Brian Holtzman. He has a podcast called Dead Air on the Death Squad YouTube page. The Death Squad YouTube page is run by Red Band. So Red Band is the producer. Red Band is the old producer to the Joe Rogan show. Actually produced the Kanye West show, Red Band did. So yeah, he is Brian's producer and sidekick and Googler, I guess you could say. But please check him out on Dead Air. He's got a hell of an intro. I love his intro. But he's a great guy. He's really funny. He's very interesting. He's lived a million lifetimes. So, he's been there, done that. He's a very wise man. He's got a few specials out, but he's not easy to get hold of his footage. But if you YouTube him, you will come across either his page, his podcast, or just random clips that people have put up. Please subscribe to his podcast, Dead Air, or just his YouTube page. Please subscribe to my page. Let everybody know, let your nana know, let your Uncle Hemi know, let Grandpa Joe know, let Mum know, let Dad know, let Papa know, let your first, second, third, fourth, fifth cousins know. This is something I've been wanting to do for some time. So, I just, I want to share it and share the love. I've got more guests to come, more stand-up comedians from America. So let's get right into the podcast and see what Brian has in store for us. Please be aware the audio from Brian's side is a little average, but what do you do? That's life. The guy's talking to a laptop mic, so it's not the easiest to deal with audio-wise. And I am a rookie editor, so I am still learning myself. I don't even know if I'm holding the microphone correctly. But please subscribe, comment below on the YouTube page. Please let me know who you would love for me to talk to. Please give me some questions. My next guest, I'm not going to tell people because I don't really have this out early enough to get some questions for my next guest. But in the future, I definitely want to go down that line. But please, again, subscribe, share it around, share the love, and I hope you do enjoy this podcast. It's about an hour and a half long. Stay to the end. The last segment is hilarious. we get to see some photos of Brian's brother Jay, and we do have a good chuckle at the end there. But yeah, show the love, guys. Let me know how you go. Please DM me, Pod with an Accent on IG, or email me at podwithanaccent@gmail.com. I would love to hear what you guys think of it. Please do reach out, because I do want to know if this is going well. If not, I'm still going to do it. This is something I want to do. This is a passion. This is something I've wanted to do for years. Finally, the kahunas have got big enough that I can sit down in front of a camera and see myself on the screen. And editing your voice is never a fun thing. But hey, let's get right into the podcast.
All right, that sounds very good, David. Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead and start the fucking podcast.
Start the fucking podcast, and that's how we're going to start it off. So we have a man here. He has been on the comedy circuit for some time, I believe, but we'll get right into it. Let me introduce you, my man. Thank you so fucking much, Brian Holtzman.
Hello, glad to be here, David. Thank you so much.
So,
glad to be.
All right. It's a great way to start it. I'll talk over you probably every 30 seconds because we're delayed. You're in Austin. I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. You've just trekked from California to Austin to do the Kill Tony show. That's sort of how I came about. Brian Holtzman was on the Kill Tony show. It was either you sitting on the panel with Tony, or just Tony, Red Band, and the other guys just, bringing you up and always talking about how you've been a hard hitter. Now, you became a regular at the Comedy Store in 1994. You started comedy in 1988. That time between 88 and 94, you left the Bay Area in 1988 to California in 89. First of all, what got you into comedy in 88? Was it the calling of the stage? Was it family members sort of pushing you on there? Was it family members you were trying to run away from and you got on the stage? What gravitated you to the stage in 88 to make you go to California for 89?
I didn't want to get married and play house. So I had to figure out something to occupy my time. And I got the bug from Okinawa. I was an MC at a graduation ceremony from a class I had taken. And that went over very, very well. So that gave me a bug. That's the bug. That's the bug so then I went to San Francisco. I was working for United Airlines at the time in San Francisco. And that's when I finally took the stage and started there in 1988 doing stand-up, open mics. And then that was very cliquish. San Francisco, Robin Williams was from San Francisco, of course, everybody knows. So they've seen it all. Everything else is just ham and eggs compared to Robin Williams. And it was a very cliquish type comedy community. So I decided to come down to LA in 1989 and go to the Comedy Store and get it over with. Go to the Comedy Store. They'll tell you if you suck, and then you can go on with your life. And I can go on with my life and forget about it, And that didn't happen. And as a result, my life has been fucked ever since. In a way. Comedy.
Can you blame it on one person? Can you put a finger to blame it on one person why your life is fucked, or you blame it on yourself?
Mitzi Shore. Mitzi Shore.
All right.
Mitzi Shore. That's who I blame it on. I wish she would have told me, you suck. You can't do this. Go away. Go on with your life. That would have been fine with me. And that's, of course, we became fast friends. I was working every night of the week. She gave me a spot every single night of the week. And I told myself back then when I just started at the Comedy Store, I became a paid regular in 1994. And I said, it can only get worse. It can't get any better. Every night of the week, 7 nights a week.
God damn. And doing 7 nights a week, you go from being a noob, like a rookie, to average just to a star, just because you're banging out all those regular sports one after another. Just that time on stage, it helps so much, right?
Of course, stage time is important. Plus, you're at the Comedy Store with heavy hitters, Paul Mooney and Eddie Griffin and Andrew Dice Clay, Damon Wayans, you name it. People will come in there, and you're hitting with heavy hitters, and to go out every night, I had to stay relevant. I had to have a new show. I had to have a different show every night. I couldn't, that was good. That was right up my style. I don't want to do the same thing. I could say the same thing, or talk about the same thing perhaps, but it'll never come out the same way.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that was right up my style. And so it was just, it was a privilege. I said, oh my God, I'm at the Comedy Store. There's no other place I need to be.
Yeah. And you just spent all your time there hanging out. Just, if you weren't performing, you're watching, you're studying other artists, like the guys you just rattled off, and you're just hanging out, asking 100 questions, trying to pick their brains, seeing how you could level up or get above them. That was the way to go for you?
No, not at all. I watched Paul Mooney because he was one of my favorite, and still is. And otherwise, I really didn't want to watch other comics because I didn't want to be influenced by anything they had to say or anything they did. But that is true. A lot of comics will study comics. A lot of comics, if you go into their private residence, they have nothing but joke books. Their residence is full of joke books and comedy albums. And sometimes I feel guilty because I have neither. I just did it, and it worked, and I had fun doing it. And I talked about my life and things that I thought that people could identify with. And I really didn't want to muddy the waters by studying it. But, and I just figured I better just stick with what works for me. You can't change, it's too hard. Making somebody laugh is like trying to make somebody sneeze. It's impossible.
So for me, I have started writing. I've probably got like 5-6 pages of jokes. My biggest worry was copying other people's style. I find when I'm writing that I can hear comic voices when I'm writing a style. William Montgomery is one of them. The Big Red Machine. I sometimes can hear his voice. I can sometimes hear your voice too when I write. And you're sort of giving me a bit of clarity with that I might just not cut comics off, but try listen to my own sound and my own voice, sort of, you know what I mean? Like try to bring Dave out rather than trying to bring other comics out and maybe using their influence, use my own style, my own awkwardness, my own egotistical fucking out there sort of brand, I guess you could say. But no, that's cool because that sort of, it sort of answers a couple of questions in my head in the sense that, you don't want to be copying other people. I think for a comic, the worst thing would be, you've got this big joke and then someone goes, oh, yeah, but that's like Eddie Murphy's joke. And you're like, oh, no, this is not what I wanted. I thought this was me, not Eddie Murphy, or just someone along those lines that, you've watched so many times that you're sort of becoming a background writer for another comic rather than writing your own set. So maybe I might take a leaflet out of your page and try do my own sound and my own voice and my own style, because I have found that quite hard. Do you have any other tips on that?
The funniest, and I always tell young comics who want advice when they're starting out and they're on the stage and maybe it's not particularly going well, and maybe their material is not going over well, don't stick to the material. Say what's right on top of your head at the moment.
I'm good on the fly. I am good on improv, sort of on the fly. Like I never did drama at school. I never did theater. Like I was a rugby kid at school. So to do drama or theater and play rugby, it's not, this was the 90s. It still didn't really line up in those days. You couldn't actually, you couldn't be a soft guy and a hard guy at the same time. So I took the rugby route. I tried to be not an alpha kid, but, be a strong-headed boy or teenage boy. So I wish I did do some theater stuff like that. But, I think I did want to do some stuff off the fly. And do you think that's quite risky doing stuff off the fly? Or do you think if it's natural, the audience will absorb it and enjoy it?
Well, the first thing, of course, you want to, whatever you do off the fly, you want it to be funny. But the whole thing is risky. I mean, the whole freaking thing is risky to get up in front of a crowd and try to make them laugh. The whole thing is insane. It's the most craziest fucking thing in the world. And it goes back to what I was saying about Mitzi Shore. Yeah. It would have been fine with me if she told me, you're not funny. This is not for you. Because I have that kind of regard and respect for the art form. Yeah,
so do I. And that's why I don't want to go up on stage, because I don't want to disrespect the art form.
Well, in the beginning you have to. In the beginning, you got to, at some point you have to jump in the pool if that's what you want to do. Just like I had to jump in the pool and at some point say, I'm going to try this and see how it goes. And if you're having fun, people don't go bowling if they don't know how to bowl. People only do things that they have for fun. So I think fun is the most important thing. If it's not fun anymore, then you're more inclined not to want to do it. So
you can't put energy into it, right? You lack energy when you're not having fun, and there's no love. If there's no love, there's no energy, I feel.
Right? You see a lot of comics in the later stages of their career, and it's like they're on autopilot, and they're kind of, I went to a club, I won't mention names, and I was like, this is what I'm inspiring to. Yeah. This is so lame. This is so lame to me personally. It's just, and at the same time, every comic has the right to do whatever they want to do, and I don't judge audiences. If the audience is laughing, why should I ever say anything about what's going on? That's not my place. Because if you tell a comic that's really getting a lot of laughs that you think is not a good comic, then you're making a statement about all the people that laughed at that comic, so to speak, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I sort of put it down to that. It's similar to like a mum cooking for a family. When she starts cooking, or she cooks some great food. By year 10, year 15, mum doesn't cook very good food because mum don't give a fuck anymore. So I do think it's very similar to that. It's just want to get it over and done with and sit back down sort of situation.
And I've been very lucky. The comedy that I've been doing or have been doing for the last, 25 plus. I never had to do it to make money. And I think that helped me out a lot. I always did it because I could say whatever I wanted. I had that. Hold on. Yes. Come in.
If you have a time, can she come upstairs?
I'm on a Zoom call right now. Is she going to be here for a while?
No. She's just coming to see the room one.
When?
Right now, she's there.
Oh, come in then.
Yes. This is good content.
So, oh, come on in. Hi. Oh, you're gonna.
She's gonna clean.
Oh, this is the cleaner?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we don't need any cleaning.
No, not today.
Oh.
In future. You just want to see the room.
So you can check for like what
Okay, go ahead. They're gonna check and see the room.
Okay.
I'm gonna Zoom right now. How are you doing? Is everything okay? Hello, sweetie.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Sayonara.
So,
Do you have headphones by any chance?
no.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna buy any. I'm not gonna buy any either, David.
Well, I'll fucking send you some then. In that case, if you don't want to buy any, I'll fucking send you some because your audio is a bit average, but that's fine. I'm average looking, so they line up together.
Right. So, yeah, I think.
Go for it.
Yeah, it was just, comedy's a real. It's something else. I don't even think I've figured it out yet.
And you do it for yourself. You don't do it to, I guess, not for the laugh, but to. Oh, fuck.
I do it because they let me do it.
No, I'm sure that's not the case. No, I think.
Let me explain. it. To a certain extent, when you're in the zone, it's fun to make people laugh, and I enjoy it. It's really, when everything that comes out of your mouth it just works. It's kind of like magic, It's magic, but they also have given me the opportunity and let me do it. So it's almost like a privilege.
Yeah, it is a privilege. And if people are spending their hard-earned money to come listen to you, and then you fucking offended them, that's definitely a privilege.
Right.
But no, what I was going to say was, you do it for yourself. You're not there to try and impress people, right? You sort of do it. Some people do it to impress. I think some do it just because it's an art form and try to get things off their shoulders. Like it's, I've heard other comics talk about how it's free therapy. Is that sort of something you feel that, I guess that sort of, that power as well? It's like a free therapy for you and you can just fucking spill your guts all the time?
I just like to give them a show. I really like to give them a show and let them, on the way home, maybe they're talking about something that they heard me say, and they can take it with them and really just give them a show. Treat them and talk to them just like you would talk to your friends when nobody was listening.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So you try to make it intimate, but not as much, I guess. Cool. I appreciate that. I think it's you do want to put on a show. You do want people to walk away, even if it's just with one joke, and that joke is just repeating over in their head the whole time, and it's just playing over, and then they wake up in the morning and it's, oh yeah, that joke, because he's always, I think, with jokes they get attached to emotions, and then when they get attached to emotions, you tend to remember them. And so, like, again, for me, it was that you talking about how you can smell kids when there's a playground nearby and things like that. I held on to that joke even this morning. I was thinking about that joke first thing this morning. And then I was listening to one of your comedy sets yesterday. It was from some time ago. It was on Just for Laughs. It was about you wanting more Coke on the airplane, and I don't know if you remember that joke, but I thought that was hilarious. How just, them pouring out a can of Coke into a half cup and then them throwing away the other half of the can. You're just like, just give me the whole freaking can. I can, I got a thumb, I got a finger, I can hold the damn thing together and I can sit here and drink it. I get taught that stuff at preschool, how to use a cup.
Right.
So that stuck to me because that's sort of I guess that's connected to that whole pet peeves sort of situation of the small things that people could do that, could make life easier, but then no, I'll just go in the other direction. It's just like, oh well, whatever, you do you.
Right. But yeah, I think the most important for me personally is I want to talk about something that everybody in the audience can identify with, as opposed to making up these crazy bits. I'm going to make a bit. I'm going to develop, and I'm going to write a bit. And I don't have time to write bits. There's enough going on right here in the world and around, and everybody's aware of. You know, I don't have to invent the comedy. The comedy is everywhere.
So yeah, people that make up fake bits for comedy, you see it on Kill Tony, and they make up a fake bit, and the set's quite hilarious. And then Tony asks them, "Is it real?" And they're like, "Oh no, I just made the whole thing up." And then the whole joke falls over. It's like, well, your joke has zero backbone to it. You know, there is no depth to your joke. It's just lines on a piece of paper that you've read. You haven't lived it. There is no scenario. It's very empty, those fake bits. So I don't really gravitate to those either. I think, you know, for me, I want to talk about my childhood and how hilarious it was at times. I think that's the funny stuff, right? The stuff that people can relate to, and
right.
You know,
David, David, I'm going to step out real quick and use the latrine.
Yep.
The bathroom.
Yeah.
One second. Okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
No.
But I got to go. You got to go.
Absolutely. You got to go. I've been twice this morning, so it's fine. I was fucking nervous as all hell, by the way, but that's all right. It's all going okay. A few of my questions, the questions have led into another, so we've already ticked off a few of them, which is nice. Now, I don't know really where to go from here. I've got your highs and lows on your travels. So your highs and lows on your travels, was it ever any time where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, this is not who I am? Or did the highs always outweigh the lows in the comedy stand-up world? Because for me, it seems a bit daunting, traveling around the country by yourself, meeting new people, having to explain your personality to people. I always, can find that hard at times, because if you are an unorthodox person, if you like to make people laugh and they don't want to laugh, they don't really know how to take your personality. So traveling around the country, the highs and lows, did you have some low points in your travels because you weren't able to talk to countrymen and you just couldn't really get your personality across to people? Because I've always thought that would be the hard thing.
Yeah, a lot of it. I went on a few road gigs that I thought were less than successful, but that was because of my own experience, my own shortcomings. Because I was trying to. You're supposed to, I believe, go up there and relay and present a message, your message, regardless of who's in the audience or where that audience is. And when you feel and you pull back like I did, and you get mentally intimidated by your audience, then the whole process goes south. It's such a, especially with a comic like myself who works on that high wire. I don't write down what I'm going to say. I have some talking points or some topics that I hope to remember to discuss. But I cannot do it word for word. I could never, ever, ever write down word for word what you hear in one of my comedy shows. It would be impossible. And even if it was possible, how would it sound if I was doing it word for word? It would be horrible.
Yeah, I think I've always worried if I do it I will probably change up every joke every time as well, because I think if I do it, it will come out quite robotic, right? It will be very sterile. It'll just be planing the whole time. There'll be no up and down shifts in the voice. I think if you just put your personality out there and inject it into the joke, then it does come through a lot more fluid. But yeah, I have worried that if I do it, it will come out quite robotic. So I'm guessing that's how you feel about it too.
Right. I want it to be spontaneous and a lot of times I'll say something or talk about things and that leads to other things.
Yes.
And that leads to other things. And before you know it, there was a club owner who told me, you have to have a beginning and the middle and an end. And I was like, why do I need a beginning and the middle of an end? If they're laughing the whole time, what the hell difference does it make? The audience is not saying, is this the beginning, is this the middle, or is this the end? They're too busy laughing. Hopefully they're too busy laughing.
Well, it's not a pop song, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's cool. I'm learning a lot. Even just talking to you right now, I'm learning a lot of sort of how do I want to construct myself on stage. So that's cool. I appreciate this, Brian, by the way. I really do.
My pleasure.
So that would be the advice that you'd give for like a newbie or an old stagehand who hasn't really cracked it, is just to be yourself, talk about real stuff, try and get your personality across to people, and get your time up right on stage. That is probably the main situation, is day in, day out, just trying to get your stage presence going.
Yes, going up a lot in the beginning is important to find out who you are on stage and what you want to present. But everybody can just do the best they can. Not everybody can go up there and just not have a program or a game plan. So my style is unorthodox. It's like if you go on television, they're going to want to know what you're going to say. Every freaking word you're going to have to tell them. And I always say, well, how the hell do I know what I'm going to say when I don't know, and they're not going to go for that, So it's a rub. It's a very critical rub, So not everybody can do it, but we all know what it looks like if it's not done correctly, You can see the joke coming. It may be funny, the audience may be laughing, but you can still see it's just, like you said before, it's something sterile about it. So I'm very careful not to criticize or talk about another comic or comedian and what they do. That's their business. And I have no right, with the kind of act I have, I can only do it this way. This is the only way I can do it. I can't.
The only way you know how.
And I'm not going to mess with that, how I do it, even though it could be terribly wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not under any illusions that what I'm doing is totally unorthodox. You're supposed to write all your jokes down, and you're supposed to tell your jokes when you get on stage, the way you wrote them down. I know that, and that bothers me a lot when I do it, that I know I'm doing it wrong. But if I'm getting laughs, who the hell cares?
Yeah, so, what is the right formula then?
Yeah, well, it's different for every person. Well, I'm not going to call this one. I will not be talking to you right now. That's what she got. You got your pre-messages you can put in there when somebody calls. Yeah, this one, I will not be talking to you right now. Yeah.
Is it one that says fuck off? You just flick it up and it's just fuck off.
No, David.
I need to make a preset and it just flick it. It's just fuck off, just real quickly.
But So, I can't say what's going to work for me is going to work for someone else and vice versa. A dirty comic doesn't tell, or a blue comic or a comic that uses curse words doesn't tell a clean comic to curse.
Yes.
But all you clean comics can't wait to tell dirty comics or comics who talk blue, why can't you work clean? It's so unfair. I wouldn't tell Jerry Seinfeld to start cursing, but he's quick to tell me, well, you'll have a better career if you clean it up. And that's true. But if that's what you want to do, I'm not interested in what you want to do. I'm interested to be as organic as I can.
Yeah, it's pure, right? It's a purest form of being yourself. So Jerry Seinfeld actually said that to you?
No, but this is what you've always, well, he has not to me directly, but indirectly, that's what you hear a lot in the comedy business.
100%.
100%. Can't you work clean? But
I wouldn't be surprised if he did say it to you. That's why I asked the question, because I was like, well, there's a high chance he actually did say it to you. So I imagine there's been plenty of famous comics who have said to you, scratch up your act and then you'll end up on TV. But I can't see Brian Holtzman being able to sleep at night if he scratched up his act. It's not Brian Holtzman.
All right. It's I want to talk to the audience like adults.
Yeah. That's how I talk to children. I talk to children like adults. So when other adults talk to children, the children understand the adults, right?
That's very good, David. A lot of people, they tell their kid, goo goo gaga, you talk to them like adults from the get-go, and they will be so much more intelligent, vocabulary, every damn thing. They will be so intelligent little people instead of talking to them like a mental patient,
Yeah. It's 100% it. My 2-year-old can say her full name, and she's got 4 names. So, she can say her whole name. And it's like, well, if she got lost, a police officer would be able to ask the 2-year-old, not that my 2-year-old ever gets out of my side of the line, but would be able to ask the 2-year-old, what's your name? And should be able to say her whole government name. So her whole Christian name. So, I am a big fan. I'm very pro talking to anyone like an adult. It's not even children, but just talk to humans like humans, And if they're a dickhead, tell them to piss off. I have a saying. I hate humans, but I love people. And it's and that's very me. I love all races, but man, there's some people that just, you come across a race and you're just like, you're a dickhead. It doesn't mean the race is a dickhead, just means that person is a dickhead. So, rant over. But I do love people, so I do want to entertain, and I do appreciate what you guys as comics do. I know I'm gonna, if I have to get up on stage, I'm gonna have to buy a hell of a lot of deodorant. Obviously antiperspirant, and a change of t-shirt probably for before and after the show. But I think talking to someone like you, learning the art of just understanding yourself rather than understanding the audience first, understanding yourself and then understanding the audience, talking to people like you, it's cool to hear things like that. So I do appreciate it.
And remember, don't be afraid to, I guess, fail or bomb. And just remember.
I actually am quite excited about bombing because I hear all the comics actually I hear the bigger comics actually quite enjoy bombing because I think bombing is a purest form of a reality check, right?
Right. And also you have to realize that, so what? You weren't funny. Is that the most serious thing in the world?
Yeah.
You weren't funny. All right. So at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Who cares? So you were doing a comedy show and it didn't go that great. Who gives a fuck?
That was yesterday, eh? That was yesterday.
Yesterday?
No, I'm just saying, like you just leave shit behind you, right? You don't fucking
Right.
take it with you. You don't march forward with it. You leave it behind you and march away from it.
Yes.
So we'll keep moving on. My Kiwi audience will know you from My Wife and Kids. That was a very big show in New Zealand. For me, it was a big show because of the Wayans brothers. Oh God. Oh no, it's come back. It was the Wayans brothers, and then obviously his daughter was pretty A-class when I was a teenage boy. So that was the reason me and my friends were watching My Wife and Kids. But how did you come across, getting on that show? Was it because of the Comedy Store, coming across the Wayans brothers there?
Yes, this is a very funny story. I know Damon Wayans. He was at the Comedy Store performing, and he went into the bathroom, and I was at the bathroom with him at the urinal, and he said,
some of the best conversations happened there, by the way.
He said, "What are you going on?" And I think I said, after the black guy or something like that. And he said something about you want to be on the show, or maybe you were interested in being on the show. So actually it happened. I never had to audition for that show. I never had to jump through those horrible hoops of those horrible people. Not all of them, but a lot of them are horrible people. They give you
your soul.
They give you little or nothing to go on. They give you no feedback, no emotion. It's almost like they want to, and also, so I never had to go through any of this process. I was just selected to be on that show. Can you believe that?
That's an honor. That's an honor. That's what that is. It's an honor.
And it's an honor because auditioning is a very difficult, auditioning in itself
sounds horrible.
Is very difficult. Some people know how to do it. Should I read the words while I talk to you? Should I memorize the words and pretend to read the words? Should I put the words down and just do it? It's an art form, and it's very difficult. So I, as happy as I was to be on the show, it was 4 seasons, 4 episodes, which is not it's not great, but it's better than 3. It's better than 2. It's better than 1. It's better than none.
So 100%.
You stay in town, which I was already in town, and you make good money, and you're on primetime television. And that was one of my goals, to have a day job and be at work and having all my coworkers watch me on the television at work. And it came true.
So what were you doing? What were you doing as a job at that point in time? What was your day job?
I was working at United Airlines as a mechanic.
Oh, a mechanical engineer?
A mechanic, change the tire, change the seat cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very nice. And that was something you learned was it the Air Force, yeah?
Yes.
Very nice.
C.
You're in C. So you're in the Air Force and you're in Okinawa, so you're in Japan, yeah? How long were you in Japan for?
2.5 years, 30 months.
Japan. So I went there 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I went to Tokyo. I went to Shinjuku. I got my daughter's name in Japanese on my wrist. I have a bit of a fascination with the Japanese. Aren't they beautiful people? Aren't they the most beautiful, good-looking people, first and foremost, but very personality-wise, if you can get a conversation out of them, they seem like very beautiful people.
Yes, they do. And then there's always that feeling about World War II. They had these kamikaze pilots committing suicide into ships. They treated what was it, the Death March in the Philippines? They were brutal people.
Yeah, they were brutal.
They were just brutal. But on the other hand, When America has a natural disaster, Americans are screaming, help me, you son of a bitch. Where's the help? Where? And the Japanese, they just stand there very peacefully in front of their burnt down or earthquake damaged residence, quietly waiting for help.
They're just the most patient people I have ever met. They're just so lovely. So when I was there, we were like at department stores and people would run ahead of us. If we had bags in our hands, people would run ahead of us and open the doors before we even got to the door. And it was just like, wow, that would never happen in New Zealand, like it might happen once in a while, but this happened every time I was in a department store. It was a random person, it wasn't workers either. There were just random people running in front of you, opening up the door. There'd always be people opening up the elevator for you. First person out of the elevator, no matter what, always opens and holds the elevator doors so everyone gets out. They've got that word that's disappeared in the Western culture, and it's etiquette. They still have etiquette, right?
I was in China as a tourist and it's the complete opposite. In China, in America or the West, you line up for your tickets, or you line up, you queue. I think they call it a queue.
Yeah.
In China, they just bum rushed it.
Yeah, well, you're a number. That's why. Over there, you're not a person. You're a number. And I think, that's probably the difference of society, right? In Japan, though, they line up. I crossed the road probably with we estimate about 300 or 400 people we cross a road with at one time. And not a single shoulder hit my shoulder. And I crossed a road with 300 to 400 people at one time. We were at a railway station, Shinjuku railway station in Tokyo. They have 4 million people go through this railway station every day. Well, I've only got 5 million people in my country, and there's 4 million people go through this railway station. It was just blowing my freaking mind. It's like, how do these people do it without having fist fights? I don't know how I did not see a fist fight the whole damn time, because these people were they're in each other's bubble, but they know how to do it right. They sleep everywhere too. That was the thing that made me laugh, was the sleeping everywhere. There were lines and lines of people at Disneyland just sitting on the ground sleeping. It was so weird. I understood it, because I was like, fuck, it's 30 degrees. I wouldn't mind having to sit down and sleep myself, but it was definitely different. But I do appreciate the Japanese. I think they're very beautiful people. I don't tend to look into their history too much because of the 2020 version or the 2021 version I have of them. It's different to the history version, but no, they're cool people. I do appreciate the Japanese, and they're a big rugby culture. They've got a big rugby culture there, so I appreciate that too, being a rugby fan. I've got rugby jerseys. These are rugby jerseys. That's an Orlando Magic's Shaquille O'Neal jersey, but the rest of them are all rugby jerseys.
Did you wear head protection when you played the rugby?
Yeah, so growing up from ages of 5 to about 11 or 12, I had to wear a headgear. It's just a thin bit of rubber, probably about a quarter-inch thick, maybe. If that's, it's nothing. It's really just to stop the serious impact. But we've got no pads on. We've got nothing. We go out there. You have your Monday to Friday is absolutely shit, and Saturday you take out your anger on the rugby field, and that tends to be how it is. And you just smash each other and you have fun. But no, there is no protection. I believe they're going to stop tackling at certain ages so kids have less concussions. I've had a few concussions over my lifetime. You probably picked that up during the conversation, going, this is not dead air. This is just this might be cerebral palsy. I don't know. There's something wrong with this kid. Don't worry. It's just I've fallen off a couple of roofs and I've had a few concussions. So, as you do as a boy. Your podcast, though, Dead Air. First and foremost, I want to say you probably have, for me, the top 2 intro music for podcasts. I absolutely love your intro. The Bad Ashley song Here comes the bullshit. Here comes the dead air. I just, why that resonates with me, I wouldn't have a clue, but every time that comes on, I'm headbanging it and I'm absolutely loving it. So I just want to let you know that I definitely appreciate your intro. It's always an exciting time when the dead air intro comes on. So I think you've got a good one there. Well, did the band actually come to you with that idea? Was it just wavelengths in the air that sort of connected? How did that come about?
It was just, I guess we connected on social media. I can't remember who contacted who first, but they were a brand new band. And see, you can't play music unless it's copyrighted. This is a brand new outfit, a brand new band. So I didn't have issues with that. So they were more than happy to let us use their music and helped everybody out.
Yeah, I've had to get some copyright. I've had to get some music so I don't get copyright stung as well. So I got someone to make some beats for me. I tried to make some music myself, but I got fat fingers, so it doesn't really work for me. Fat fingers and a fat brain. Swelling on the brain, not a big brain, just swelling on the brain. That type of fat brain, to be fair. Dead Air. So, favorite guest on Dead Air? I've got a couple. Obviously, Ben Wilson, his dryness definitely lines up with your Dead Air. I've got written down here, Ben the silent assistant is what I've got written down here instead of Ben Wilson. It's Ben the silent assistant rather. I think when he chimes in, it's always quite funny. Your ears tend to turn on when he chimes in because you've got to listen. I think it's cool. So I do think you should get Ben back on your podcast. Him and then the Dice Kids. The Dice Kids walked out on you. Well, one of them walked out on you, which, by the way, I don't know if it's my favorite podcast from Dead Air, but it'll definitely be my top 3. I thought that was so funny. I think the way you kept to your guns and just didn't budge. I love that so much. I think that is very pure how you didn't budge. And he was like, if you want to leave, F off, just go. This is my podcast. And the guy's ego, just watching his ego deflate on YouTube was just so funny. You could tell at the start that his ego was, I don't know how he fitted through the door at the start, to be fair, but by the end of it, he could have walked through a bloody cat door because his ego was tiny. His brother seemed pretty cool, but if you could get anyone on Dead Air, who would it be? Obviously not some Kiwi kid from New Zealand, but who can't speak properly, but who would be a dream guest that you'd want on Dead Air? So you could essentially pick their brains, and it doesn't have to be somebody, everyone's like, oh, I'd want the Queen or I'd want the President. No, who would Brian Holtzman want to pick their brains? Who would Brian Holtzman want to make feel awkward as hell and see if they could handle, I guess, the Dead Air style?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan? You just like, that's because of his wallet, right? The Joe Rogan wallet?
No, I'd like to interview an astronaut. I think astronauts, they got some balls, man.
Fuck yeah.
They got some balls. I watched some of the NASA on my YouTube, NASA.org. And, it's just, I don't know. There's some of they're intelligent. They know science. They know medicine. They know math. They can fix anything. Just give them a manual.
They don't bullshit.
I mean, they're so brave. I mean, astronauts. And people who climb Mount Everest, you're going to climb the mountain. You'll get back down, but you may have to remove some of your toes and fingers and parts of your ears and your nose.
It's all worth it.
I mean, I like to interview those people.
Yeah.
I like to interview, who else? There was somebody that I wanted to interview. I forget now.
I'm going to send you some links on YouTube for some NASA stuff, by the way, because you can actually, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually watch all the lifts off for SpaceX, for all the different companies, NASA as well. I don't know if you have those subscribed on YouTube, but I do. I actually watch them, and I put them on my 65 screen and watch the mission launches live quite regularly because they tend to be in the morning, my time. And I do have a fascination as well. So my question would be, just a sidetrack question, if you got the chance to go to space, would you go and would you want to come back? Because for me, if I went to, I would love to go to space. I think looking back down on Earth would be the most amazing thing. So I don't know if I would want to go to space because I don't think there is anything that can fucking that could top that view, that could blow my mind. I don't think I could live once I'd been to space because I think that would be like going to Mount Everest. That would be the pinnacle. Would you, if you got asked, would you go? Would you do the 12 months training, 18 months training?
No.
No way in hell. Would you live underwater for 12 months like they do prior to going up?
No, nobody. Look at all the problems that can happen on your flight to Japan. You know, there's just a million things that can go wrong. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not that brave. You've got to be very, very brave.
Yeah. brave, dumb. I think somewhat dumb, like street sort of now. I think you've got to like your own company, right? If you're going to space, you've got to like your own company.
Right.
You can't be one of these people who are dealing with depression and anxiety and be like, oh yeah, Captain, I got to tell you, I'm actually dealing with a couple of things. I don't think they want people like that.
And you can't be the tiniest claustrophobic.
Yeah, that's one thing I couldn't deal with. Being in caves, going caving, I think sorted that out for me. I don't really like tight spaces too much. So you'd want an astronaut. I'd
like Christopher Walken would be a good one.
Yeah.
He's pretty
awesome.
Funny guy. He's a funny guy. Yeah.
I think me personally, you would want any music artists? Is there music artists you'd gravitate towards, or you just like, talking to someone from the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards, or like Paul McCartney, anything like that would blow your mind, or you'd just be like, these stories are just unrelatable?
Maybe the lead singer from Guns N' Roses, and I would ask him, why do you wear that 10th grade that shirt tied around your waist? I mean, this is 2020, 2021. You know, stop with the costumes. Just play the music. We love the music.
Axl Rose. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop dressing up like it's 1980. All right. It's grow up. Grow up time, Axel.
And yeah, I think he would be pretty awesome. I know if I got him on my podcast, which would never happen because he's late to everything, right? I'd ask him, why are you late to everything? That fucking, there's one man who has zero etiquette.
Yeah. All those people waiting and just holding them up like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then it just turned into riots. He had a riot in Melbourne, Australia a few years back because he just turned up to stage like 2.5 hours late. It's like, God damn, all these people that are standing there on drugs and alcohol, what is going to happen to these people after 2.5 hours? Their faces are melting because they think that all the acid's kicked in. And then, where the hell's this guy Axel? And then, only thing that can happen is shit starts flying, right? There's no good that comes from it. So I would love to know why he has the audacity. And this is the thing, I don't like people who have their audacity to push people in that sort of way. How do you have the audacity to hold up 60,000 people for 2.5 hours? What sort of ego do you have to do that?
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to ask. I think it would be if you had someone like him on, you would want someone like him on, and then you'd want like another band member to like fact check the whole time, be like, no, this didn't fucking happen. The reason it all happened was because of XYZ. Because I think that would make really good content if you had him saying his thing and then had like a band member fact checking him. Because I imagine people like him would be living their own world, so there would always be his view of things and then everybody else's view of what's going on around him, right?
Fran Lebowitz. I'd like to have Fran Lebowitz on there.
Who's that? What do I know?
Oh my God! You gotta Google Fran. Your listeners and your viewers. She is one of the most. She's a writer. She started off writing books, and now she just goes around speaking engagements. And she is the most funniest person. It got so crowded in New York with the tourists. Fran Lebowitz decided it was too much. She got to the point when she was walking on sidewalks, she would just say, "Move! Move!"
I've just brought her up on Wikipedia here. Public speaker and occasional actor is what they've got her listed as.
She is the funniest. She is so quick. She is so funny. I'm telling you, I just found out about her. I haven't read her books yet. I'm going to try to get her 2 new books. Her first 2 books and read those. But she's written many books. But
Metropolitan Life and Social Studies. Notable work.
Social Studies and those are the first 2 books I think that she wrote. I want to read those, and because they're probably the best books. When a writer writes, the best books sometimes are always, in certain cases, the best books. And
she's still floating around. She's 70. She's got a face like a dropped mince pie, but that's all right.
What? Face of the what?
She's got a face like a dropped mince pie.
And I want to speaking of books, I want to show you a book that you are going to love.
I can't read, by the way. But that's all right.
This is the book that you've got to read. This is a funny, beautiful story. It's my favorite book.
Oh.
You know, it's
Hold it
just
up to the camera.
Yes.
Memory of running. The memory of running. So what is it about? Running away from your memories? Running away from the past, or?
It's the greatest story, David. You can read this book. It's the kind of book that when it's over, you miss the characters, you miss the book. It's like, oh my God, it's over. Oh my God. It's the best book. You've got to get it. There's the author. The author, I think, has since passed away. He was an actor, I'm told. He lived in New York City, and I think it's just a one-off book. The guy decided to write a book, and my sister gave it to me, and it's just a wonderful, funny story. It's a novel.
Yeah. What it says here, The Memory of Running, is basically a road novel. The story of one man's redemption. It's about growing up, getting older, family and friends, mental illness, and the Vietnam War. Smithy, a 43-year-old Purple Heart recipient of the Vietnam War, is overweight and he drinks and smokes too much. Does that work?
Oh, man.
First of all, I'm going to have to learn how to read. And then once I learn how to read, I'll read that book. I've got to learn how to read, though. That's my first problem. I didn't learn to read till I was 16, so that's all right.
Well, the more you read, the better you get at it.
No, you just blame your mother, that's all. So I've got a little segment here. This is just for Brian Holtzman. But this segment is pet peeves. Now, I don't know if that's what you guys call it, pet peeves, but that's what I call it. Just things that irritate you. Now, watching one of your dead airs, talked about messy food. Now, I hate messy food. And then you talked about cutting your burgers in half. And I was like, this man, we are one and the same. If he cuts his burgers in half, I get it. This makes sense to me. I've been doing this for a long time. I cut everything in half. I have a knife with me at all times just so I don't want to smash things into my freaking face. I don't want to see somebody else smashing something into their face. We are horrible enough looking as humans anyway. You don't need food on your face to make it look worse, right? So, I appreciated when you went down the track of cutting your burgers in half because that resonated with me so much. I was like, now this is someone I can relate to. As a man, a proper man who cuts his burger in half, who doesn't need 1,000 napkins to clean up afterwards. You've always been that way inclined. You've always cut your food in half just so you don't look like a slob like everyone sitting around you.
Yes, that's one of my, it just gives you a rewarding feeling to know you've had half and you still have another half to go.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be eaten straight away, right? You can save it. You don't have to fucking stuff your face. You don't need that mayo. You don't need that mayo going from here to your bloody earlobe.
One of my pet peeves is the newscasters always say, instead of saying yes, they say yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I say. I don't say yes anymore because it sounds too formal, right? So I always say yeah.
Yeah, you've got it. Sometimes I find myself saying yeah, and I always regret it. Yeah, I regret it right away because they've turned yes into some kind of formal language, and it's not formal at all.
Yeah, it's sort of slang, right?
Yeah, yes.
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 So going from newscasters, I'm going to go into dream catchers. Now, I've noticed in New Zealand, there's been a lot of females driving around. Hanging from their rearview mirrors is a dream catcher. Now, why the fuck would you have a dream catcher in a car? Is that so when you crash, you've got all those dreams to go with you when you go to the man upstairs? I really, have you seen this? I don't know if you guys have this in America, but in Auckland, we've got this a lot. There's girls driving around with dream catchers. Have you seen that? You got that?
Yes. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, and dream catchers, rosary beads, you name it. That rear view mirror is supposed to be uncluttered and free of any obstruction, and people just want to hang all sorts of garbage off this safety device, and or they'll put a box of tissues on the top, so if you get in the car, it's hitting you in the head, and then they've got stuff all over the place in the back.
Freaking tissues.
They think it's a one bedroom.
So people put tissues at the back of the car, so on the back seat against the back window. Now, how the hell does one get to those tissues first and foremost? And why does one have such a snotty nose that they're going out and visiting people? If you've got such a snotty nose that you need to have a tissue box in your car, stay home. Like, I've never understood the whole tissue box. I saw one 2 days ago. They had 3 tissue boxes lined up at the back of their car. What are these people? How much wanking can you do in the back seat? You know? It doesn't make sense to me. And if you're going to have that many tissues, how much KY jelly do you have on the back seat too? Honestly.
Quite a bit.
I imagine so. Or they just go to the petrol station and get petroleum. I don't know how these people do it. The feet on the dashboard. I've seen people driving with feet, the passengers, and they're dirty, scummy, black feet. These are white people, by the way. They've got black feet with, what Holtzman would say, toe rings on the dashboard. These people don't realize if they have a crash, their face is kissing their knees, and the kneecap is going to win over the old moneymaker, over the old dome, right? Isn't you must see people like that driving all the time in the States with their feet up. Isn't that outrageous?
It's horrible. It's hard. There should be a law against it, David.
How is there not a law against it? Just seeing feet in general, there should be a law against that. Seeing feet in a mall, I think there should be a law against that. I think you shouldn't be allowed out of your house without socks on. Ankle socks minimum. There should be a sock height restriction, I believe.
Right.
It is the weirdest thing. I don't know how one would even consider putting their scummy feet on top of a dashboard. It's just unbelievable.
Well, they do it, and another pet peeve is people who don't flush the toilet.
Well, I got small children, so I'm facing that issue right now. Another pet peeve of mine is when people try to dry hump you in the ATM line, when you're trying to get money out, people stand so close to you, they're trying to dry hump you. And it's why? If you want to dry hump me, you better be buying me a Big Mac beforehand, because if you ain't buying me a Big Mac, you ain't dry humping me, you know? It's unbelievable. Wait your turn. Your money will come. There's thousands of dollars in that ATM machine. I don't need your small penis pressed up against my fucking butt, you know? It makes no sense to me.
I wanna show you another book if I can.
Go for it, please.
They also made this into a movie. I haven't finished the book. It was just given to me, but it's a movie. Have you ever seen this movie, David?
Oh, God. I'm not even going to pronounce the second word because I'm so cultured I can't even spell my own name. But
Harold and Maude.
Okay. What is that about?
Harold and Maude.
Harold and Maude.
This is going to make you laugh your ass off, and anybody else who enjoys black comedy.
Exclusively black comedy, or just in a
black comedies? Black comedies, the comedy style, but
no, I know what you mean. I'm being facetious, but what you do mean is dark comedy, not black comedy. You can't say that shit anymore, Brian. It's dark comedy, not black comedy.
Right.
Two different forms of contrast there you've got going on. You got to stay on the lighter side of the contrast, not the darker side of the contrast.
You've got to watch this movie, and all your viewers and listeners have to watch this movie. If you're really into comedy, this and this book is like some of my favorite stuff, I tell you, in the whole world.
Right. I'm gonna learn to read, and then I'm gonna read this. Well, if I don't have to learn to read the other one,
this is what I'm renting in Austin. Excuse me, I'm getting.
I did notice that you were staying in an Indian lady's house, because I could tell obviously by the accent. They're beautiful people, eh? The Indians. They have their food is just.
They have their moments. They have their moments.
Oh,
hey, I'm going to use the bathroom, David. Be right back.
They're no better than white people. Harold and Maude is a 1971 American coming-of-age dark comedy drama filmed by Hal Ashby and released by Paramount Pictures. It incorporates elements of dark humor and existentialist drama. That's a word I'm going to have to Google. Music by Cat Stevens. Oh, so it's these old movies and the cool soundtracks. I'm just looking through the wiki of Harold and Mood, and I see that the music's been done by Cat Stevens. These old movies used to have the best soundtracks, didn't they?
Oh, the song is great. You're right. I'm glad you brought that up, David. The music, the song to this Harold and Maude is just a great song. Is Cat Stevens the one who became a Muslim?
I'm not too sure. I've got no comment on that. I can tell you that if you want to know.
Maybe it's not Cat Stevens. One of them became a Muslim. Was it Cat Stevens or?
Yeah, Cat Stevens is definitely a Muslim. What's his name? Cat Stevens' name is Mustaf. No, what is his name? Yusuf. His name's Yusuf, I think. Yeah. Yusuf. Yusuf.
Wow.
Yep. Yusuf Islam. There you go. Go from being Cat Stevens to a Muslim all in one day.
Wow.
Now, you got any other pet peeves that you want to get off your chest? Because I know you do love to.
A lot of times.
Entertain.
A lot of times.
Barking dogs is one of mine.
Yes, Jay. Yeah, this is a real bad time.
All right, it's always a bad time. I hope you enjoy it, Houston. On. Yeah. So real quick, the listeners, is he on his last leg? Are you down there visiting? Whatever.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. This is a real bad time. I'm on with David from New Zealand right now.
Yeah, who the hell is this dude?
Give me an update on it.
You want to say hello? Do you want to say hello? Say hello to David from New Zealand.
Hi, David from New Zealand. This is Brian's brother Jay in New York.
Oh, Big J. I've heard you talk about Big J before. Hi, Jay. Nice to meet you, sir.
I got done with it. I said like you're using, and I said that I'm not familiar with, and I don't know whether it's upside down or right side up.
Yeah, this is
pretty good. It's a good impression. I like that.
This is a real.
Are you on the radio today?
This is a real bad time. I'm trying to tell you. I'm on the podcast with David Gills from New Zealand.
Well, I jumped right back into you like that. My dear brother, I can't say I have his ass. All right, I'll let you go.
Your family, you're not supposed to talk.
Do you want to say anything else to David before you go?
What country is he from again?
New Zealand.
I've been to Australia.
That is highly offensive.
It's Tasmania. All right, well, let us go with that.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for your kind words, Jay.
The penis of America. It kind of sticks right out from the armpit. All right, I'll let you go. Bye-bye.
Yeah, well, I talked to you, but this is a real bad time is what I'm trying to tell you.
Maybe I'm on the radio then. Oh, I should not get. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you.
Have a nice lunch.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Jay.
Nice meeting you, sir. Good
Thank
luck
you,
to you.
sir. Look me up, Jay. Look me up.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is a real bad time. I'm trying to tell you. You want to see?
His impression of you isn't bad.
I'll show you a picture of Jay.
Go on, please.
If I
So,
can,
well, this actually leads me into the next part. So the last part is accents. Now, I see during our podcast you've been squeezing your eyes, squeezing your ears. So half the words you haven't understood, and you've had to decipher in your brain of how many years to figure out what I'm actually saying. Is there any words that you've picked up along the way where you've gone, what the hell is this Kiwi kid talking about?
Well, I speak 3 or 4 languages. I'm fluent in most of the languages in the Western world, and also in parts of Africa and Southeast Asia. I'm very versed, and my vocabulary is vast, as you know. So there's nothing, David, that you said that I didn't fully understand, so to speak.
Nice. Well, to let you know, New Zealand's accent is the #1 accent on the planet. I don't know how that is possible when we only have a population of 5 million. Oh, look at that. Look at that grill. Look at that grill. Tell him Nelly. Tell him to call Nelly. Oh, this is not a pick on Jay show.
This is I only have 2 more.
This is good. He's well, what am I supposed to say about that? He's got a hell of a schnoz on him. He looks like my granddad. He had a hell of a nose on him, eh? Hell of a beak.
I brought him on. I brought him on a podcast at the Comedy Store, and Brian Scalaro told him he looked like the guy from the Monsters.
Yeah.
Lewis, what's his first name? Lewis.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that old. I'm old. I'm not that
Al
old.
Lewis. He said he looked like Al Lewis.
Monsters movie. So when I look up the Munsters, because I'm in New Zealand, when I look up the Munsters, it actually brings up a rugby team. It doesn't bring up the bloody movie. Herman. You talking about Herman?
No, Al Lewis, Grandpa.
Oh, Grandpa. Yeah. Is it those eye sockets, is it? It's not dead air, it's dead skin.
Yeah.
So yeah, supposedly we have the #1 accent in the world. Now, we only have 5 million people in this country, so I don't know how 5 million votes bet the American vote, but somehow we have the #1 accent in New Zealand, or in the world rather. What's your favorite accent? Now, please don't say Ireland, because everyone says their favorite accent's the bloody Irish. Now, I know you've said a very funny joke about the Irish, and I told my friends, and some of them thought it was funny, some of them didn't. You said the joke, it was the wheelbarrow joke. That, yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. Are you able to repeat it? You don't have to.
Oh, yes.
Move on. Go for it.
No.
The Irish accent joke is, I appreciate it. And it sounds better from you rather than me.
I want to repeat it for all your wonderful friends who didn't think it was funny. Maybe they just didn't understand it. It's
they're just pieces of shit, my friends, so don't worry about them.
What's the most important invention of mankind? The most important invention of all of mankind.
What is?
It's the wheelbarrow. Because that enabled the Irishman to walk up on his hind legs.
So being a Scotsman, being from Scotland, I quite appreciate that. So I do like that. It is a very funny joke. But what is your favorite accent? Is there any accents? You come across a Spanish woman, you're like, oh my God. Or like a French woman, your knees get weak. What sort of accents really make you go, oh, okay, I want to talk to you for another 5-10 minutes? You know, I'll give you a second of my time.
The accent that I have on my GPS on my phone that gives the directions.
There you go.
Is the British accent, you know.
Oh yeah. Is that because they speak correctly and the Americans don't?
Americans have really butchered the English language. They really, really have, and
it's offensive, by the way. But go on.
It's horrible what the Americans have done to the English language, but I like the British accent. The female British accent is pretty soothing and easy to listen to. And I also, for comic relief, I like the Filipino accent because they teach.
Go on.
They teach them how to speak English, and they speak it the way it's spelled. They speak it perfectly. They say refrigerator.
Enunciate.
Collectors. I need a roll of collectors.
So I've got Filipino friends. I'm actually a godfather to a Filipino girl, who just had her. God, I'm going to get this wrong. She just had her second birthday. My goddaughter. And my friend, he speaks Kiwi English. He will talk to me in Kiwi English, and his mother will be behind him, and she'll ask him a question, and he'll turn around and talk American English to her, and then turn around and talk Kiwi English to me. And I'm like, what is going on here? But yes, they do. The Filipinos do enunciate very, very well. They and they're quite pretty. Some of the Filipino girls are not bad looking. That caramel complexion isn't, I do appreciate it. My favorite, I have always gravitated towards the Scottish accent for me personally. I was a big fan of, man, I've gone blank. I've gone blank. Billy Connolly I was a big fan of Billy Connolly.
Right. He's an actor in the comic, right?
Yeah, he's a comic. I like him for his stand-up comedy. Not as much for his acting. His acting skills is, his comedy is very good. He's quite out the gates like you are. He's very he says what he feels and what he actually means. So I think his form of comedy, his Scottish accent, obviously is pretty awesome. And then there's James Bond, right? The guy that played James Bond, his Scottish accent. His accent was voted number one for a long time. Is there any accents that just you might not want to talk about, but you just can't stand? You're like, oh, no, not talking to that person, walking the other way. Or you just like to, for me, I like to talk to all people. I think if I talk to all people, then I can understand all accents, and then I don't seem like a uncultured white swine. Is there any accents that you don't gravitate towards? You just want to run?
No, I'm okay with them all. I'm very comfortable.
I'm not trying to cancel you, by the way. I'm not trying to find something to cancel you and get you to.
Oh no! I'm not taking that way, David. I'm not.
It's all love. It's always love.
Well, thank you, David, for having me today.
Yeah, no, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for spending your, I guess it's 9:40 here, so that means it's 2:40 p.m. Saturday, Austin, Texas. So it's 9:40 a.m. here Sunday morning, New Zealand time. So I'm an early riser. I like to get up early. My brain works in the morning and doesn't function in the afternoon. So like most humans, I'm pretty dumb and can't drive a car in the afternoon. So that's all right.
So you're going to watch the Super Bowl on Monday, I guess, huh?
Well, so actually, we have Monday off in New Zealand. It's actually Waitangi weekend here. Waitangi weekend is the day that the British colony or the British Empire signed the Treaty of Waitangi, and that's when the white man was allowed into New Zealand. We signed the treaty with the Māoris. The different tribes throughout New Zealand came together and met up with the British colony, the British Empire, and that's when the Queen started running the country in 1840. So that was yesterday, Waitangi. So we actually have Monday off. So I guess that's your July the 4th. So yeah, this is our so New Zealand is what? 60, 100, 180, 181 years old yesterday. New Zealand is. So, much love to the Kiwis out there.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
We've made it this far. We haven't had too many civil wars. We don't have a president that hates everybody. So we're all right. We're doing all right. And we closed our borders so no one can get into our country. So we're fine. We're all good. We've been good since August. We've been going to rugby matches and everything. So I really do hope everything works out for you guys in America. I really do hope everything is up and running, because obviously it is a flow-on effect. Movies are going to stop coming out. Obviously the box office is not a thing anymore, but you know, there's going to be a massive delay in movies, massive delay in everything. So I do hope everything opens up soon. I hope it opens up for you comics, and I hope to see you guys over here in New Zealand at some point.
Thank you.
You take care, Brian. Thank you for everything. Is there anything you want to talk about on your podcast, Dead Air? Is there any socials you want to get out there? You've got a YouTube page, Brian Holtzman on YouTube. Is there anything else that you want to advertise? Your Twitter account, your Instagram account? Here he does. He got it on paper. Oh, and I've opened too many windows, and now my bloody computer's frozen. Oh, here he goes. Here comes the briefcase. Here comes the dead air. Oh, that is beautiful. And it's laminated, people. So if he spills any KY on it, he can just wipe it straight off. There you go. Twitter at Holtzman Brian, Facebook Brian Holtzman, Instagram Brian Holtzman, and there's a little yellow thing. Oh, thank you, Tony. I don't know who Tony is, but that can be me for today.
Kill Tony.
Oh, kill Tony. Tony Hinchcliffe, everybody. Tony Hinchcliffe is a big fun player in my eyes. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate what Kill Tony does for all the new comics. Kill Tony has made me start writing. So I appreciate what Tony Hinchcliffe does for people. And we'll see Brian Hinchcliffe on, maybe not the next Tony, not the next Kill Tony. I imagine you will be on, it's the 7th of the 2nd today. So you will be on in about 3 or 4 weeks on Kill Tony. They
Monday.
Yeah, but they pre-record them now. They don't do them live anymore. He says they do them live. It's all bullshit. It's all pre-recorded now. So we probably won't see you on the YouTube screen for Kill Tony for about 3 weeks, I believe. But that's cool. I'm sure I will make a post on that as well when you're out there, so I can tie it into this episode. But thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate your time. You didn't have to do this. You can now tell your probation officer that you've done an hour and a half of charity work. So I appreciate that. Tell them to email me and I'll sign it off for you. So thank you for doing your charity work today. Yeah, take care. Is any questions, anything?
Thank you for having me. I want to say hello to all the people of New Zealand, and someday I want to definitely travel there. I haven't been there. Thank you, David, for having me and thinking of me, and it was a pleasure being on the show, and I hope I gave you some helpful insights into your aspirations in comedy, and best of luck to you and your family. Thank you.
No, I appreciate everything, Brian. You're a very sweet guy, very caring type of guy. It's not how you come across, but if you actually sit down and have a conversation with you, you're a very, very sweet man. I don't know if that's a sweet man. I don't know if that is a man. I don't know if that was made in Hollywood. I don't know what that is. But this is not the J Roast. This is a podcast with an accent. Look at that. That grill, I tell you, that grill is just, and that nose. He looks like the BFG, you know, the Rod Dale book, BFG.
You know, David, this is the funny part, and I've talked about this on stage. What you saw, there's pictures of my brother Jay, you see, as we get older, our nose and our ears continue to grow. That's why when you
I'm
see
freaking out. I'm 33. I'm freaking out because I've seen my grandfather's nose when he died. And he had to walk. Honestly, if there was a wall in front of him when he was opposite a door, he'd hit the wall when he was going through the door. His nose was huge. Oh, it's awful. It was freaking me out. I'm very aware.
The cartilage and the nose and the ears, for some reason, as you get older, it continues to grow. That's why you see old people with big ears and big noses.
So my question to you, is that a reason to do cocaine so it stops growing?
Oh God, there's no reason to do cocaine. That's a bigger split, you know? You start off having fun with it, and before you know it, your fucking life is circling the drain.
You're selling coke to get cocaine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bad road.
Thanks, David.
It does freak me out. I am very fucking terrified about it. I never met my other grandfather, so I don't know if he had a massive nose. But looking at my dad's, he's got no hair, and he's got a massive nose and bloody wings for ears. So I don't know. We'll see. But I don't care because in 20 years' time, medicine will be so good, I'll just get them lopped off and redone. I'll go for that Van Gogh lock. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. You take care and have a wonderful day. And I can't wait to see you on Kill Tony. Also, everybody check out his YouTube page. He is always just posting his daily life. It's pretty funny. He's just walking around and he's just commentating his life. I had a good chuckle. Maybe the ones in his car, the camera moves quite a bit, so it's pretty nauseous. So maybe listen to the audio version of that.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Brian Holtzman. Subscribe if you want. You don't have to watch it. Even if you subscribe, doesn't mean you have to watch it.
Absolutely. Get those numbers up, people. Get those numbers up. But definitely watch it. Have a listen. He's very funny. He just wants to make people laugh, and it's always all love from Brian. So we appreciate your time, Brian. Just quickly, that's one of my pet peeves. Is something I just did just then. Is we appreciate it. I don't know who these fucking people are. There's no one there. But I always say we. I always ask people, how are we going? It's how are you going, sir? Not we. There is no other ones. These bloody personalities that keep popping up. But all right. Anyway, you take care, sir, and enjoy your day. And I really appreciate your time. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.